This tri-tip is absolutely packed with flavor. It's delicious. It's the best tasting tri-tip I've ever done. It all comes down to the marinade. I'm gonna share it with you, but don't laugh. Let's get into it. What's up, barbecue fans? My name is Jake, and today I'm showing you how to make the most flavorful tri-tip you've ever had. It's sitting right here. I'll let you in on the secret here in a little bit. Before we can do that, we've got to get our Kamado rolling. We're going to use the Kamado 38 today, and we're going to do a little bit of a reverse sear to bring it up to temperature, and then of course we're going to sear it off. But there is a bunch of oil in here, so we're not going to do it at a high temp. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Let's get our Kamado rolling. All right, so we've got our Kamado rolling here. We're using the Bear Mountain lump today. Just finished the bag. We're actually doing two videos back to back, so I filled up half a basket there right to the top because we're gonna do another video right after this. But no smoke today, just pure flavor. Now, I said in the intro, don't laugh at me. You promised not to laugh at me, so I'm gonna show you what the secret is. This, my friends, is a tri-tip from Porter Road. It is dry aged, so it's a great tasting steak just by itself. And of course, the tri-tip is full of flavor, and you can't go wrong with a tri-tip, right? If you have not tried Porter Road yet, I highly recommend you give them a shot. They've got lots of dry aged meat. They've got a very wide selection of beef, different cuts all the time. I have a discount code. I'll leave that link below. But look, this is a tri-tip. Yesterday, I took it out of the package and then I removed the fat cap. There's a pretty big fat cap on here. The reason why I'm removing the fat cap is because I want to get as much flavor into this piece of meat as I can, and it's not going to go through that fat. So we removed that. I kind of took my time, but not really took my time. I was in a rush, so just wanted to get it off there. Then what I did is I used this guy right here, all right? Every single time I use a Grow Mage product on my channel, someone in the comment laughs, and I gotta tell you, they have some products that I just think are phenomenal. I think this is one of them. I've done this on a New York strip rotisserie roast I did on my gas grill. I've done it on filet mignon, sirloin. I've done it on a bunch, and I've done skewers with it. Every single time I make this and I have people coming over, large groups or whatever, and I make a bunch of skewers where these things are an absolute hit. People love them to death. Now the secret is you gotta marinate it for an extended period of time, right? This is a big piece of meat, but any recipe or marinade that you see and they say marinate it for 15 minutes, I don't know why you're wasting your time. I've never seen that much flavor get into any piece of meat in 15 minutes. So with this guy, because this is a big tri-tip, I want to make sure it's nice and covered. I took 2 packages of this. We took olive oil, so half a cup of olive oil, half a cup of water, and 2 tablespoons of vinegar because I made a double batch. The directions are on the back of it. Mixed all that up, threw it in here, threw my steak in there, and then I took a fork. I like to push some of that marinade into the center of the meat, so I went around there, and then I just kind of kept covering it for a little bit. Now, I'm using olive oil. You could absolutely use vegetable oil or something else. I personally prefer olive oil because it's healthier, but the drawback is that when you put it in the fridge, it's gonna solidify a little bit in this marinade. It also has a better flavor, in my opinion. But, so what I do is I'll leave it on the counter for about an hour or so, and I'll kind of cover it up, and then I'll put it in the fridge. This has been in the fridge for 24 hours, and then this morning I took it out about an hour ago. I let the oil relax, come up to temperature, and then I flipped it over, make sure all the sides are covered, give it another little cover, and then just let it sit there. So it is still cold, but it's probably been on my counter now for a good hour and a half. We are right now at 2:45. So what we did here, we're using half a basket. I'm gonna do indirect, direct. We went out on the top 3. I'm gonna lock this back in. We're gonna close it, find where we're at. And then I'm gonna go about a quarter turn there. On the bottom, I'm using the left side vent. The left side vent has a half moon. I'm open a quarter way. Now I'm gonna take it down to an eighth of the way. And that's pretty much where I'm gonna cook to dial it in at 250. Back it up just a little bit. And we're gonna let that kind of settle in for a little bit. And then we're gonna get out. I mean, I'll give you a little teaser what this looks like. So here we are here. I mean, look at this guy. This guy looks absolutely delicious. It smells phenomenal. I can't wait to get this on the grill. All right, so the one thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna put this on a plate. We're gonna put in a Typher sink probe. You can see here that this is actually sitting off the side. It's not charging. So Typher's a new partner to the channel. I'm using their sink product here. It's got 2 thermometers, wireless Bluetooth, but the big thing is that it's sub 1G. So in my Kamado, which is 2 inches thick, I don't have any drops whatsoever. But the reason why this is not connected is because yesterday I did an 8-hour cook, pulled pork, hands down, best pulled pork I've ever made. I'll leave a link up here for it. But I cooked that for, it was 8 or 9 hours. And then it got really dark last night. It was too windy to bring out the lights. So I reset the cook, and then I put it in the oven at like 210 on the temperature so it wouldn't trip an alarm, but just so I could watch my temperatures. And if you look at the temperatures, you can see the oven was going up and down, which I tell you guys an oven does all the time, but it ran for almost another 17 hours. And they say that with 1 charge, this will last 50 hours. So I wanted to put it to the test. It's still going strong. The base is still over half charged, so we're good there. And if you run out of battery on this thing, you can plug it in, and in 5 minutes you can run it for 2 hours. It's got a super fast charge on it. But I want to make sure that this guy is perfect, so we're going to use this guy here. If you're interested in learning more, I do have a discount code down below for you. Like I said, they're a new partner to the channel, so you can save yourself 10%. I think you're going to like it. Look at that guy, man. Oh, it just screams goodness. Look, there's one spot that didn't quite get, oh, it just dripped off. I'm gonna put it on like that. And then what I'm gonna do is we're gonna put this guy. Now there is a line here that you gotta go past. There's 5 sensors in the tip, or in the tip, and then on the end, there's an ambient sensor that's good up until 932 degrees. Trick here is that, let's get this guy up high enough. I think we're probably pretty good there. And now what we can do, let's put this guy on, and then I'll set up my cook. So we're putting this right here in the indirect side. Again, I've got half a basket here. We're just gonna let this guy roll. All right, so on the Typher product here, you can absolutely use the base. You can set up temperature in here, walk around with the base. I actually took this 315 feet that away to see if it would drop on the Kamado, and it did not. But you could just take that. Today, I'm gonna use the app here. So let's go. Okay, set up a cook. We're gonna do beef. There's not a tri-tip. Oh, there it is down there, tri-tip. Okay, we're gonna set this to 118, I guess. Now, look, I like my steak to be finished around 132, 135, somewhere in that area. If you like it rarer than that, lots of people do, pull it off at like 112, right? It's gonna carry over a little bit, and then we're gonna sear it. We're gonna do a little bit of a longer sear because I mentioned there's a lot of oil on here. So I'm not gonna go up to 700 degrees and sear at super high temperatures because I'm gonna burn that oil because it's olive oil. We don't wanna do that. So I'm gonna do a lower temperature sear, just keep it on there a little longer. We're gonna push the limits of the olive oil, but not too much, so we're not gonna get a burnt taste of it. But I'm gonna go clean up. We'll let this guy go, and I'll bring it back when it's ready to sear. All right, so it's been about 28 minutes. If we look at our app here, you can see we're at 108.2, 7 minutes remaining. All right, so it's been about 35 minutes. The Typher alerted us on our phone or on our watch when we had 5 minutes left. It says there's about a minute left. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my Typher Insta-Read. Now, the one thing on a tri-tip is that we've got kind of a narrow part. Then in the middle, we've got a part that's a little thicker. And then in the end, we've got a thinner part, right? So we're trying to go right in the middle. We just hit our 118 and, oh, I gotcha. And what we'll do, we'll double check this guy one more time. Just to get this thicker side here, I did move it over the coals just a little bit to get some heat into it. All right, so we're 115 here at the end. We are 126, 127, I guess. 121, 120, so we're pretty good. This one spot down here, which is the thicker spot, is closer to 116. We're right where we want to be. We'll take this guy off, and actually I'll use this like so. So right now we're in pretty good shape. What we're gonna do is we are going to let this rest for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to start to dial this guy up. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot for a dome temperature of around 400, 450, and I'm gonna go put in this guy right here. This is my other side, okay? And what'll happen, this is the top rack, I can put that in there, and now it can be directly over those coals. So we'll put that in there now. Now, if I was doing a super high temperature sear on a steak like my dry aging video I just did, I would go down another level and get it right over the coals. If you wanted to go even further, you can take the expander rack on for the top for the baking stone, and you can actually remove all the grates, turn that upside down, and put it right on top of your lump. So you've got some options there. We're gonna let this rest for about 10 minutes and then we'll sear it. All right, so it's been 10 minutes. One of the best ways to tell when your steak is ready to sear is to look at your temperatures, right? So right now we're 116.2 here. Now we peaked at 121.5. As soon as it starts to come down, then you can sear. So it only took about 8 minutes, and actually the carryover was not that much because we were only cooking about 240 dome temperature, which meant our grate temperature was closer to 215. So there wasn't a lot of heat energy in there to make it carry over. So because of that, because I like mine a little closer to medium, all I'm gonna do is we're gonna adjust. So right now my dome temperature is about 375. It's gonna be super hot over top of the lump, so it'll be even hotter, but this is gonna allow me to kind of put it on there. We'll flip it every minute, but build up a little bit more of a crust on the outside. We'll cook it slower so that the outside isn't too crispy before the inside's where I want it, okay? So here we are with the final product. What I did is I cooked for about 3 minutes with it, 375 or so, flipping, about 4 minutes actually, flipping 1 minute per side. And then I opened up the vents and I did pop it up to about 600 degrees. You can see on the screenshot here, the probe hit 680 briefly, right? Wasn't on there long. I just want to get just a little bit of color there, and I think we've got a phenomenal product. Now, one tip here on a tri-tip, here's a tip. When you look at our grains, right, they're going this way, and then as we get on this side, now we start to go this way, right? Very important that you cut across the grain so that you get a good chew. So lots of people, what they do is they cut it in the middle, and then that way they can slice. They'll cut it like this actually, sorry, around here. So now I can flip that around and try the other side. Let's give this guy a try. Leave that alone. All right, so it turned out pretty good. It's got a great color in the middle here. We do have a little bit of a larger band of gray. No big deal. People obsess about that. Because we seared it for a little longer, we're gonna have that happen, but let's give it a try. That is friggin' delicious. Look, I love me some salt and pepper on a steak, but once in a while, I just want something different. And this is pretty darn good. In fact, I almost would have marinated a little longer. It's that good. I'm liking it. Let's see what the dogs think. Here comes Cookie. What do you want? What do you think? Doggy approved. One for you. Ollie. There you go, good boy. There you have it. Jake approved, dog approved. Look, if you're looking for something a little bit different, give this one a try. I've served this to over 100 people over the years. Everyone has absolutely loved it. I love me some salt and pepper. But once in a while, I just want something a little different, and this hits that spot every single time. It's absolutely delicious. Look, if steak is your thing, I recently did a video where I did a little bit of a dried or an aged experiment. I had some 28-day wet aged, 30-day dry aged, 45-day dry aged, and 60-day dry aged. I put them head to head. The video's right here. If steak's your thing, I recommend you check that out. I'll see you soon.